What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I've got another cool video for you. We've been so crazy with news, finishing up Blazing Vortex, finishing up the main 80 cards of Lightning Overdrive. We had a new archetype from the deck build pack, Ancient Guardians. We've been getting so much news, it's been crazy, but I finally want to get back into doing a little bit more discussion videos and deck profiles. So here is the first discussion video in a while, kind of just going over the most underrated cards out of Blazing Vortex. I think overall, most people have said that this set is probably a little underwhelming to them. Sorry, not overwhelming, definitely not. And I agree. I think you look at like Pot of Prosperity, and that's like the big chase card, and after that, everybody kind of looks at the whole rest of the set. You're just like, eh. So I don't see a lot of people talking about all the cards in the set. So I'm going to be going through everything that seems a little bit undervalued at this point. Not that I think they're going to be crazy cheap. You can get them and they'll spike later. It's nothing like that. It's mainly just cards to keep an eye out for if these were things you were interested in. And just, they're good cards, I think, overall, even if they're not getting much talk in the set. So let's just jump into it. We got a ton of cards to get through. Starting off, Brigade Kit. This is a really cool card. She does the same banish thing from grave to summon out a free link monster, which is really cool for the Brigades. But also, if she's sent to grave, you can send another Brigade card from deck to grave, which is pretty cool. So she helps you like turbo into Nerval. And yeah, she's just good. I mean, look at, like, literally in the past week, I think, we had the two Lyrilusk players actually both get second place. They were deck crafting together. They both did insanely well. Apparently the deck is very strong, and it's like a Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade deck. And who would have thought that would be the build to actually see competitive play? But if it's working, awesome. And they max out on all the Tri-Brigades, so why not even try and fit Kit in somewhere, because she's pretty good, and she's another name that can just, get you an extra link on field, which is really strong. So pretty cool card. Definitely something to keep in mind there. Next up, I have Parametalfoes Melcaster here, but I'm just going to include all the Metalfoes stuff. I think when we found out we were getting Metalfoes stuff, everybody got super hype. Then we got it and we read it and everybody was like, oh, they're pretty good, but they're not amazing. I'm not telling you they're amazing and you're wrong. I'm telling you, don't sleep on it, because I don't know. Like, I still think this deck has a ton of potential. We know how powerful Metalfoes can be, being one of those pendulum decks that just pluses and pluses and pluses. Combine that with the fact that this is one of the most crazy super poly decks in the entire game, because they have a fusion monster that just requires any one Metalfoes, and then it just takes any two monsters with 3,000 or less attacks. So you're ripping Dragoons off the field, you're ripping any two monsters essentially off your opponent's field to then go into a 3,000 beater. It's not half bad, right? So the deck does have a couple of really cool aspects to it. Makes some pretty cool boss monsters and stuff. I'm just saying, keep an eye on it. I think this stuff could be better than people have given it credit for, and it could make a bigger splash than people think it might. Next up is the two new Ancient Warrior cards, a new boss monster and a new trap card. These are both pretty cool. This boss monster is legitimately pretty good for 2021 standards, if you ask me. So all you need to do to summon him is just control the highest attack Ancient Warrior on the field. So if your opponent's not playing Ancient Warriors, great. All you got to do is summon an Ancient Warrior. You can summon him from the hand. Once per turn, he can destroy the monster with the highest attack your opponent controls. All you need to do is just make sure when your opponent, during the end phase, not just your opponents, but during the end phase, as long as you just need to make sure you have the highest attack point monster. And if it's him, if he's on the field, your opponent you just can't let your opponent have something bigger than 2,800, which is not the hardest to do, especially when you're popping a free monster once per turn. You've got the Ancient Warriors Link 2 that's bouncing something once per turn. That shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world, but he's a really cool boss monster. I think he's legitimately strong, and he'll be a pretty nasty extender / extra boss monster going second, going first, whatever. It helps them in all areas, I think. I think it's just a great card. And the trap's good as well. It helps them summon tokens while also protecting some of their Ancient Warrior monsters from battle. It's pretty cool. And you can also protect an Ancient Warrior from being targeted on the field, which is pretty cool. So you just get a bunch of different effects. It's one of the better Ancient Warrior speller traps for sure. Taking us to the next card, Virtual World Gate Sanwu. And I didn't even put The new one, the girl who looks like a bumblebee, she's like the TCG or the OCG import. I don't think she's as good as this card. This card's probably just going to be a one of in the deck because of its extending effect. Just says banishes from grave and discard a virtual world card. And send a card. Oh yeah, and then you just reborn any virtual card but negate its effects, which is pretty cool. So you could, this would just be another extender to put like what is it, Shen back on the field. So that's just another level 9. So if maybe that was the only thing in the way of getting you to a VFD, that could just be an extra level 9 or an extender in whatever way is most useful to you. But it definitely seems like a pretty good one of to add to the deck. Don't sleep on it. This only makes Virtual World better. Next up is Machina Unclass Spar. Another really cool card. Definitely a card that's going under the radar. I've seen like nobody talk about this card. If it's added to hand except by drawing it, you can just summon it immediately. It'll lock you into machines, but on normal or special summon, you can send a Machina monster from your deck to the graveyard, except for itself. So we know with the latest structure deck we got last year for Machinas, sending their big monsters to the graveyard is very good. They're actually very good in the graveyard. So he's a nice starter. I definitely felt like the deck was lacking kind of a good starter Stratos kind of monster, and this guy fits the bill for that. Kind of like an in-archetype Arm Knight or Scrap Recycler, whatever you want to call him. But pretty good, and he's 1800, which is nice. I honestly think this could be one of these like weird little rogue decks we'll see pop up here and there. I've seen people play it in like a couple online tournaments and actually make top 8s and top 4s and stuff in some of these online tournaments. So keep an eye on it. Machina has a nice little buff right here, definitely. Take us to the next card, which is Eldritch, the Mad Golden Lord. I know what you're saying, John. This is a secret rare. We know about this card. Yeah, I'm not telling you stuff you don't know about, but I think this card is actually being a little bit undervalued. I don't know. Like, listen, the longer Eldritch sticks around, any deck that plays Super Poly might as well tech a copy of this guy in it. Because if you Super Poly your opponent for an Eldritch and either double Eldritch or an Eldritch and one of their trap monsters into this guy, you probably just win the duel, right? Like, Eldritch itself has literally no ways to remove this monster from the field, so they would have to resort to something else. A secondary engine or something, and Zodiac literally just has Zeus. If they can't make Zeus to out him, they literally cannot out him, which is just really, really amazing. So yeah, just a card to keep in mind. It's just an awesome Super Poly target mainly. Next up, I have Sacred Tree Beast Hyperiton, and I want to preface this by saying I don't think this card will be super noteworthy out the gate, but I do think a little bit down the line it could be very noteworthy. So like, this is a rank 9. It's a generic rank 9. It's pretty cool. He negates a card or effect by detaching the exact same material as the card you're negating. So he needs to have a monster, spell, or trap, and then you negate or detach the specific thing you want to do, which is pretty cool. But it allows you to essentially, he also gives you the ability to attach materials from your grave to him, whether it's a monster, spell, or trap as well. So he gets like the materials put on him, which is really easy to set up there. All I'm saying here is if VFD does get banned, this could be not as good a replacement, but it could be one of those cards that kind of is like, yeah, you know what? If VFD's gone, this is the next best thing. He's an Omni-Negate pretty much. He can negate turn after turn as long as you keep him on the field. He replenishes his own materials, and that's pretty good. So, I don't know. We could see this as a cool tech card in certain decks that make VFD super easily. We'll see what happens there, but just something to keep in mind if VFD does hit the ban list. Next up is Arm Dragon Flash. This is another one where somebody might be like, John, it's a secret rare. Like, we know this card's crazy. I don't think this card's that crazy. It's kind of just like bad quick launch. Like, this is a hard one to turn. Quick launch isn't. But the other thing is that rockets actually do more once you summon out the Tracer. Tracer extends you into like more monsters as well. Whereas like Flash gets you into Arm Dragon level 3, and you need to have like the best it gets you to is like your Arm Dragon level 7 boss monster, which is fine but not amazing, and it requires you to play multiple bricks. So I think it's just noteworthy to say this is a pretty cool extender for Dragon decks, right? If you just want to play the Arm Dragon level 3 brick, this card's a pretty nice extender on top of Quick Launch, on top of other Dragon extenders. We might see that at some point. Next up is the Materia Actors. These guys are really, really cool, and I don't think they do anything yet, but I do think they could at some point soon. So, yeah, pretty much this guy just says you can discard a card to summon any level 3 normal monster, but if you discard a Materia Actor monster, you could summon any... I'm sorry, if you discarded a normal monster, you can special summon any Materia Actor straight from the deck. These are the only 2 cards we have so far. Hopefully we'll get more in the next set. I don't think this is anything to be like, oh, get them. Maybe I actually would say get them now, because if you do get them now, you'll have them, and if they reveal insane support in the next set, you'll have it. Right? You'll just have it. You won't have to worry about it. No crazy price spikes or anything. But they're actually a pretty cool engine. This guy lets you add back one of his materials, and he's completely generic. So if you made him with like a tour guide, you could just like add the tour guide back, and that's like pretty nice follow-up, honestly. So pretty cool. They have some cool cards so far. Next up, second to last card here, Angel Statue Azarune. This is a really cool card. It's not a secret rare, so it probably won't be crazy expensive. Maybe a couple bucks, but not crazy expensive. It summons itself as a trap monster. It'll be 18/18 Light Fairy, which is pretty cool. And then once per turn, if your opponent would special summon a monster, you can send this card or send any continuous trap that's considered a monster. So that could be Eldritch traps, that could be technically some other stuff, but it has to be a continuous trap, so it doesn't count like Paleozoics and stuff. But mainly this card, and I guess if you want to tech it in Eldritch, it's pretty cool. Send them to the graveyard, negate the summon, and destroy the monster. Pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty strong disruption. Also, if it's destroyed by battle, you can destroy the monster that destroyed it. So even if your opponent decides to play it still and they're like, I'm not just going to play into this card, screw that. You could even attack into something that's a big threat, or it kind of scares your opponent from just trying to go battle phase and clear over the monster, because they will lose the monster that kills it anyway, which is pretty good. So I think there's just a lot of utility in this card. It's a beater, it's a disruption, it's removal. It gets you all 3 phases of what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, mainly, and I think that's pretty cool. So there definitely will be some decks that I think appreciate this card a lot, and I can't wait to see where it kind of pops up here and there. And the last card I want to talk about today is EMR. I believe this stands for like electromagnetic railgun. I think is EMR, right? I don't know. I think so. Anyway, it's kind of like machine Icarus attack, kind of. It says tribute any machine monster, then target a card on the field for every 1,000 original attack the monster had, and destroy those cards. So, yeah. I mean, you tribute a machine with 2,000 attack, target 2 cards, destroy them. It's pretty good. I mean, it tributes for cost, which isn't always the best, which is why I like stuff like, what is it? It's like the reptile one. It just says target your reptile, then destroy the reptile and 2 other cards. So you could technically dodge it somehow or whatever. It triggers some other float effects. I don't know. Destroys, which is cool. But it's a cool card, honestly. If we got like a machine archetype that really, really floats and likes being engraved and has some decent stats, obviously I don't think this card's that worth if you're tributing anything with 1,900 or less. It needs to be at least 2,000 to make this card worth trading like a 2 for 2. But I do think it could come up. I do think it's just a nice generic card, and I hope we get more cards like this that are just for like the other archetypes. Like if we got a Fiend kind of one of these, oh man, that'd be such a nasty card in like Burning Abyss. Definitely nasty. I would definitely try it out and see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this list. There's just a lot of just like little underlying things. A lot of it's archetypal, but if you're a fan of that archetype, this could be the kind of could be the kind of like low like under the radar cards that you hear about these and you're like, ooh, that makes that archetype a little more interesting to me. Let me check that shit out. Let me pick that shit up. That's what I'm here for. Just telling you about that stuff. Yeah, so these are all the more like underrated stuff. If there's anything you think I missed, throw it in the comment section down below. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think else is like really good in this set that nobody's really talking about. But I know the set seems a little lackluster, but hopefully that at least means the stuff in here will be cheap outside of Prosperity. I know that card's gonna be fucking like card's gonna be minimum like $70. I'm almost positive because there's like no other big secret rares. It's brutal. But that's going to do it for me here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussion videos like this one in the future. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.